सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहैः तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Okay. You all remember what we spoke about yesterday? Okay, good. So, yes, I saw all of your messages in the group. So it looks like all of you have even thought about it, and many of you did your assignments. Good job with that. We learned that everything in the universe, everything, we, things around me, things in space, everything is one Brahman, right? It's the same Brahman. We are not part of Brahman, we are Brahman. The entire universe is within me too, right? And we are the whole of the universe, not just one part of the universe. The entire Brahman becomes Yami. The entire Brahman becomes Yashvi. The entire Brahman becomes Raiva. The entire Brahman becomes Yokeshwari. So we are all connected because we are all the same Brahman. You all remember that? Okay. So now in this big, big, big universe where there is one Brahman, but we are all there, right? Now, how do we connect with that Brahman? Yes, we are that Brahman, but I'm also Raiva. Raiva in the form of Brahman. Then how do I connect with that Brahman? So let me take an example. You all know me, right? You all know me as Raiva Bhagini or Raiva Akka. I am Raiva. For you all, I am Raiva Akka. Right? But for my brother, I am a sister. I'm an older sister. Right? We are all you all know me as Raiva Akka, but for my mother, I'm a daughter. So let's take Mirama for example. You all will call me Raiva Akka, but my brother will call me a elder sister or just Akka. So like that, with the same Brahman, we can have relationship where we call the Brahman something. My name must be Raiva, but you all might call me Bhagini. My name must be Raiva, but my brother might call me just Akka or just Didi. Right? So that entire big Brahman that we all are, when we connect to that Brahman, we call it Ishvara. Say it after me. Don't unmute, just say it. Ishvara. Ishvara and Brahman are the same. It's like there is Neetuji, right? Vasudev's mother. We all might know her as Neetuji, but what will Vasudev call Neetuji? Amma, right? So there is Brahman, but how do we call that Brahman? We call him, with love, we call him as Ishvara. Like that, we also spoke about that Brahman having powers, right? And we are created with that power. It's the same Brahman with whose power we are all created. We are made of Brahman, we are made in Brahman, we are Brahman, right? The power with which creation happens, how we call that Brahman is Devi. Say it after me, Devi. Okay. Now, when I say Ishvara, I do not mean Shiva. Shiva is a Devata. We learn about devatas. We learned about devata a little bit yesterday. We learn about them more. Okay. When I'm saying Ishvara or when I'm saying Devi, I don't mean Devi Parvati. I do not mean Devi Lakshmi. That same Brahman that we all are, like how Neetuji is Neetuji or how I am Raiva, but you all call me Bhagini. That same Brahman, we call it either Ishvara or we call it Devi with love. Okay. Now, if you all have mothers, you all have a parent, you all have grandmothers, right? When they will have a name, but you have your relationship with them, correct? Yes. So what was I saying? You have a relationship with your mother, you call her Amma, right? I was telling you, yeah, Ishvara and Shiva are two different. Shiva is a devata, Devi Parvati is a devata. Okay, when I'm saying Ishvara or Devi, I'm meaning the same Brahman. Okay. Now you connect with your amma. So what and all can you do with your amma? You can go hug her. You can go kiss her. You can ask her for food. There are so many things that you can do with your mother, right? That's how you build a relationship. How do I build a relationship with Devi or Ishvara? Or how do I build a relationship with that Brahman? I have a name for Brahman. Like how I have a name for your mother. You will have a name for your mother. You will call Amma, or for your father, you will call Amma. That is Appa. That is just a name. But to build a relationship, you do so many things in that relationship. You hug them, you do things with them, you play with them, right? So if there is a Brahman and I can call them something because I love them, be it Ishvara or Devi, now how do I build that relationship? For that, we use a special power, the power of our imagination. Because unlike your actual mothers and fathers, you cannot go actually hug them. They are not visible. They are you. You are a form of them. You are completeness of them. But as Ishvara or Devi, you cannot go and hug Ishvara like that, like how you hug your father, right? So what we do, the things that we do in this special relationship are also special. And we do it using the power of imagination. Should we learn a little bit more about it? Okay. Can you all see my screen? Just show me a thumbs up. Ideas and the universe. Let's talk about how big and wonderful the universe is and how we can use our imagination to make amazing things. The universe is full of ideas. Imagine the biggest box you can think of, the biggest box, bigger than your house, bigger than your city, bigger than the whole world, the entire globe, bigger than the whole globe. That's kind of like the universe. And it's full of so many ideas. It's like a giant box of Legos. So you have to imagine universe to be a giant box of Legos of ideas. Some ideas are about stars that twinkle, like the ones you see at night. Some are about colorful birds and animals. Some are about how to make yummy food. And some are about special powers like Hanuman's strength or Krishna's kindness. In Hinduism, we say that all these ideas come from the same Brahman. It's like the universe has all these wonderful thoughts and they are waiting to be made real. Got it? We can make ideas real. You know how you imagine a superhero and then you can dress up like one and play? Do you all dress up sometimes like Avengers or your favorite character and then act them out? That's using our imagination. Our imagination is like a magic tool. It helps us take those ideas from the universe and make them into real things. Like someone imagined a flying chariot and they built an airplane. The person who first built an airplane would have imagined somebody actually flying, right? Without imagination, would they have thought of an airplane? No. So first comes imagination, and after that, they build upon that imagination. And someone imagined beautiful music, and then they made a sitar and wrote a song. Do you think if somebody never imagined music, they would have even made a musical instrument? No, right? So, first comes imagination. Imagination is the huge power we all have. When we have imagination, is when we have the power to make things real. Ideas are like algorithms. Repeat the word after me, algorithm. Now, this is a big word, but it's easy. So let's learn what algorithms are. Imagine you are telling someone how to make a sandwich. You all have had sandwich at some point? Any kind of bread sandwich or any sandwich? Okay. You say, first, take 2 slices of bread, then put peanut butter on one slice, then put jelly on the other slice. Then just put 2 slices together and done. That's how you make a sandwich. That's an algorithm. It's a set of steps to do something. Every idea has a kind of algorithm, a way to make it happen. It's almost like a recipe. Okay? For example, the idea of a tree
I
has an
need it.
algorithm. The idea of a tree has an algorithm. A water, a seed, then water, sunlight, and time. The idea of dance has an algorithm, which includes music, movements, and feelings. The idea of temple has an algorithm, which includes devatas, rituals, and devotion. So these are all different types of algorithms that we have. Special patterns called yantras. In Hinduism, we have special patterns called yantras. Think of them like special drawings that help us focus on certain ideas and algorithms. You all learned what algorithms are? You all understood that? Right? It's a set of instructions to make something happen. Okay? Now we are learning about yantras. I'll repeat what I said, all of you listen carefully. In Hinduism, we have special patterns called yantras. Think of them like special drawings that help us focus on certain ideas or algorithms. Imagine you are drawing a picture. You can use simple shapes like circles, squares, and triangles to make all sorts of things, right? You can make a house, a car, or even a funny looking animal. Any drawing that you make, at the end of the day, they are all shapes, correct? It will either be a circle or a square or a triangle or different forms of squares, triangles, and circles. Well, some special shapes are like magic, and we call them yantras. Yantras are like powerful shapes. Wise people called rishis long ago realized that certain shapes have special energy. So, this is not just a simple drawing, it's a special pattern which has a special energy. A yantra is like a map for your mind. It uses shapes and colors to remind you of a powerful idea, like wisdom or love. When you look at a yantra, it can help you connect with that idea and make it more real in your life. It's like a secret code that helps you unlock the power of an idea. Just like an algorithm shows the steps to make a sandwich, a yantra shows the pattern of an idea, helping us to understand it and bring it into our world. Wise people called rishis long ago realized that certain shapes have special energy. So, this is not just a simple drawing, it's a special pattern which has a special energy. A yantra is like a map for your mind. It uses shapes and colors to remind you of a powerful idea, like wisdom or love. When you look at a yantra, it can help you connect with that idea and make it more real in your life. It's like a secret code that helps you unlock the power of an idea. Just like an algorithm shows the steps to make a sandwich, a yantra shows the pattern of an idea, helping us to understand it and bring it into our world. Yeah, Yoga, can you pause recording for a moment? This is a sample of how a yantra looks like. There are many kinds of yantras around the world. There are different yantras. So, because yantras are a representation of different algorithms, right? Different ideas. So, because there are so many ideas and so many algorithms in the universe, there are many, many yantras. This is just an example of how a yantra looks. You all are following me so far. Should we move on to the next part? Hmm? Okay. Devatas and yantras. Yantras which are special shapes. They are like our super helpers, full of love, kindness, and power. But what are they helping us out for? You just learned that when you look at a yantra, it can help you connect with that idea and unlock its power in your world. Now, here's the secret. Rishis who knew about those powerful shapes called yantras, also knew that each yantra is a devata. It's like the shape is the idea. Imagine you want to draw a sun. You start with a circle, right? The circle is the basic idea of the sun. Got it? If I want to draw a house, I'll first draw a square. If I want to draw a tree, I'll draw a triangle. If I want to draw a water, I'll draw a From that square, I start drawing a house. Similarly, if I want to draw a star, first I draw a triangle. From that basic triangle, a star comes out. The Devata is the story. Once you have drawn the circle, then you add bright colors and maybe some sun rays. And suddenly it looks like a big, bright, warm sun. That's the story of the sun. What it does and how it helps us. That's like the Devata. So if you want to understand what is a Devata, how Devatas and Yantras are connected. If Yantras are like the shapes, Devata is like the story. Okay? So yantras are like the basic shapes, so simple ideas, and devatas are like the full, colorful stories that help us understand those ideas and connect with them. Yantras help us understand the devatas in a special way. So when we connect with a devata, we unlock the power of the idea that their yantra holds. Each devata has a unique yantra. So yes, did you all today get a glimpse into what yantras are? You saw a sample of yantras. Should we just do a short recap? Hmm? Everything in this universe is the same Brahman, right? But in my relationship with the Brahman, I either call that Brahman Ishvara or I call that Brahman Devi, right? To build that relationship, I have to use the power of my imagination. With the power of my imagination, I understand that in the entire universe, there are multiple algorithms. And yantras represent one set of algorithms that have different powers that you can unlock for your life. So, love is there in the universe, there'll be an algorithm for love. Kindness is there in the universe, there is an algorithm for kindness, right? But algorithms are just shapes. For us to connect with those shapes better, we have devatas. So, each yantra is connected to one devata. Just like you can draw a circle, but when you draw a circle with colors, lines, and let's say bright colors shining out, it becomes the sun, right? So you can have Shiva Yantra, but when you look at Shiva, you will get the entire story. Okay, Shiva has four hands, Shiva holds a Trishula, Shiva is meditating, Shiva has a snake on his neck. You can connect to that more, right? You can connect to Shiva more. You can fall in love with Shiva more. You can talk to Shiva more. And all these devatas represent a power that you can get in your life, in your world, in your universe. Hmm? Okay, so should we end here today? Will you all think about this more?
Shall I share something with everybody? Now, all of your children think about this, okay? Love that you all like to be loved. Do you like to be loved? Right? We all like to be loved by our parents. We like to be loved by our friends. Love is also an idea in this universe. And love also as an idea has got a yantra. Now, when you decode that yantra, when you open out that yantra, the image of Krishna and his beautiful stories come out of it. So when we connect to Krishna, we actually connect into the entire universe. That way, when you connect to Shiva also, you can connect to the entire universe. You can connect to any Devata and you're connecting to the entire universe. The Brahman, which is also in you, which has made you, which is what you're made of. You connect to that. And that's why this is called as divinity. Okay? We say the entire universe is divine. The same divinity is within us. The same divinity is what we are made of. So in Hinduism, the concept of God is a concept of divinity that we have. Most of the questions that you asked, where does God live? What does God do? How many hands? How many legs? That's like looking at a person, right? That's not how Hinduism looks at divinity. Divinity is that entire universe's energy within us, as us, and which has made us. And we have a brilliant opportunity through Hinduism, through our devatas, to connect to ourselves. Okay, and this is for everybody, for anybody in the world. Anyone wants to connect through devatas, they are free to do that. Okay, so we'll know a little more. Who are the people who are actually given us this knowledge? Where do this come from? How does it connect to Sanatana Dharma? Is it only for one group of people or is it for the whole world? Is everybody included in? All of these questions are the questions that we are going to uncover every Wednesday going forward. Okay? Because we're going to have story sessions, we're going to have some other sessions, but every Wednesday we'll talk about one topic each. Right? So I'll request Raiva to do something. Raiva, if you can just go through chapter 4 and just read it out. If you can just read out chapter 4 for everybody today, and then you can do the conclusion.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just open chapter 4. Chapter 4 is questions you may have about Devatas. Children have many questions about Devatas. You all did, right? They are an important part of our stories and traditions. Let's explore them together. Are Devatas, first question, are Devatas always watching us? Sometimes it might seem like Devatas are watching us. Kind of like how your parents or teachers keep an eye on you to make sure you are safe and doing well. They are more like guides and helpers. It's more like they are aware of our actions and thoughts, and they are there to help us when we need. Okay? Second, do they punish us when we do bad things? The Devatas are mostly kind and helpful. They are more interested in guiding us to do good things. However, in our stories, sometimes we see that when people do really bad things, there are consequences. This is more like how actions have natural results. If you touch fire, you get burned. That's really not a punishment from someone, it's just how things work. The Devatas want us to learn and grow and not get punished. Not just get punished. Is Krishna or any other Devata really my friend? Yes. You can think of Devatas like Krishna as your very special friends. You can talk to them in your prayers, tell them your secrets, and ask them for help. They might not be like your friends at school that you can play with, but they are always there for you in your heart and mind. Many people feel a very close connection with their favorite Devata. Where do Devatas live? That's a tricky question. Some stories say Devatas live in special places, like the heavens. But it's also said that they are everywhere and in our hearts. It's like saying that the air is all around us. We can't see it, but we know it's there. Devatas are present in all different ways. Can we see and talk to Devatas? Usually, we don't see Devatas in the same way we see our friends. But some people say that in deep meditation or in some special moments, they can feel the presence of Devatas very strongly. We can all talk to them through our prayers and devotion. Do wishes come true through Devatas? Devatas can help us in many ways. If you pray with a good heart and hard work, your wishes might come true. It's like when you study for a test. Do you wish to do well? Sorry, you wish to do well, and when you study hard, you have a better chance of getting good marks. Devatas can guide us and give us strength, but we also have to do our part. Are mystical beings or magical beings real? Mystical beings are a part of many stories, and they can teach us important lessons. Whether they are real in the way we understand our everyday world can be a matter of belief. They represent different forces and energies in the universe. Why are devatas in temple made of stone and metal? The statues of devatas in temples, called murtis, are like special symbols. They help us to force our mind and hearts. They help us to focus our minds and hearts when we pray. The stone and metal are strong and last a long time, reminding us that the devatas and the ideas they represent are eternal. The statues are not the statues are not the devatas themselves, but they help us connect with them. Can I also be God? In Hinduism, we believe that everyone has a divine spark inside them. Remember Atman we spoke about yesterday? Which is a part of Brahman, the ultimate reality. So, in a way, you have a connection to the divine. But we don't become God in the same way as the supreme being. Instead, we can all strive to become the best versions of ourselves, like God, by being kind, truthful, and loving. Why do devatas get angry in stories? In stories, devatas sometimes get angry to show us important lessons. It often happens when there is a lot of badness or injustice in the world. Their anger is like a powerful force that reminds us to do what is right and to follow dharma. It's like a parent getting angry to teach a child a valuable lesson. So those are some questions that usually children have, and now you can see how we approach it from Hinduism.
For all the children, one assignment for tomorrow is tell us in the group who is your favorite devata with whom you would like to make friends.
Okay? So use the group to share who your favorite devata is. Okay, we'll do Shanti Patha now. And I'm very proud of all of you. Many of you sat really still today. Now sit straight, close your eyes.
I also have to say that I really appreciate all of you. You all were much, much more still than yesterday. Very, very good job. Uh, and after the Shanti Path Haraiva, I'll just have to give a special game to everybody, okay?
Huh. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Yes, ma.
You all are ready for that special game. Okay. It's a game that you can play with the clock. Okay. You can play this game with the clock. So it can be a wall clock, it can be a stopwatch on your parents' phone, it can be any one of that. Okay. You start very simple and you have to let me know today is what is it? 11th of September. So by 11th of October, you let me know in 1 month what happens when you start playing this game. Okay. So what you do is you set the clock for, let's say, 5 minutes. Okay. And you sit in front of the clock, and the challenge is you'll not move. Okay. So no putting the hair behind the ears, no scratching your nose, none of those things. Okay. There's no movement at all.